Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the Visibility Whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement to build your business in 15 minutes or less. And our guest today is Diaz. He's a visionary through all of media, and he's a keynote and international speaker, renowned author, inspirational film producer, and guide. Al has inspired thousands with his empowering message of unconditional love to simply shatter that which no longer serves you. And Al has over 13 years of experience and thousands of satisfied clients. I absolutely love Al. I co-hosted a Blog Talk radio show with him for about a year and a half when I was a divorce coach. And so I know that you're in for a really big treat because Al is so full of wisdom and he really knows how to help people with their self-love. So welcome, Al. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Cindy, for having me, and it's great to reconnect with you again.
Yes, thank you. Definitely our pleasure. And to begin with, Al, can you share either a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your own level of success?
Well, Cindy, I'm going to tell you two short stories. So I'm 62. In the first 40 years of my life, I lived a quote-unquote typical life. You know, I have a good job, a nice home, a family, decent amount of money, blah, 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 blah. And one of the things that catapulted me, or actually really catapulted me, was self-love. But that's not the theme that I would like to discuss on this show. What I really want to discuss is the second thing that's just equally as important is understanding why you're here, your life purpose. And so once I understood in the early 40s why I was here, my whole began to change dramatically and drastically. I started writing books that I never even considered writing a book. I started speaking across the U.S. and eventually I started speaking internationally. I even produced a film. All these things I never even considered it because I had a corporate job. I had a family to support. I had a home, you know, the whole tidbit. Mm-hmm. But when I understood the reason why I was here, that along with the self-love, it dramatically changed my life. So that's number one. So that's my success. Because of understanding of why I'm here, it catapulted me. And a few years ago, as you knew, when you and I were doing the show, our prior show, you know, I went through some life-changing events. Everything from a divorce to being diagnosed with prostate cancer to my sister dying while I'm away almost immediately, you know, after 3 hours after I get this phone call. And I went through these life-changing events. And again, I could have curled up into a corner somewhere and started sucking my thumb and start going into victimhood and started, you know, asking, why me? Why is all this happening to me? And that happened in a 15-week period. But because I knew the reason why I'm here, this life purpose, it propelled me to keep moving forward and to have the success that I'm having right now. So those are the two success stories that I can tell you. Knowing what my life purpose is what catapulted me and kept me going and evolving and moving forward.
Exactly. And I love that. So I would imagine that you had to develop some of your self-love before you could even understand your life's purpose. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely. Having the self-love is radical, and that is like vital because here's the thing, and I don't know your scenario, your audience, you know, but in my situation, in my family, I was raised in a Hispanic family, and self-love wasn't even a priority. You know, we were taught that family came first, that everybody else mattered. And if I was lucky, I was number 2, but closer to number 30. So everybody else came first. And that's the Hispanic culture because it's all about family. So self-love was not even a thing for me. I didn't even understand it until I was 40 years old. I don't think I even heard of that terminology. I was taught to respect myself. I was taught to take care of myself. I was taught to be polite to myself. But self-love, I never even heard it until I was 40.
Mm-hmm. And so what's your best tip on self-love? And then we'll start talking about life purpose.
Really quick here. I'm going to give you something for your audience right now. Go to a mirror once a day, look inside your left pupil, and tell yourself, I love you unconditionally. Do it once a day, every day for the rest of your life. Look in the mirror, look inside your left pupil. Don't look at the reflection of your eye like you're brushing your teeth, combing your hair, washing your face. Literally look inside your left pupil and tell yourself, I love you unconditionally.
Your left pupil, huh?
Correct.
Your left pupil?
And from an energetic standpoint, if you ever see a healer or those who understand energy, they understand that the left side of the energy field receives and the right side gives. So when you look inside your left pupil, you're receiving. You're telling yourself, I love you unconditionally, and simultaneously you're receiving, but you're receiving on the left side, which is the energetic side that receives everything from the universe.
Ah, I absolutely love that. Thank you. I never knew that with a left eye before. Naturally, I knew about the mirror thing because I know you a little bit. But and also now to move on to your life purpose. So if somebody, they're starting to learn to love themselves and they really want to know what their life purpose is, what should they do to even start to discover it?
Okay, so there's no way I can do this right now in this short period of time. But if you seriously want to understand what your life purpose is and get fully, and I won't tell you what it is, I will guide you to remember what it is. I don't tell anybody what it is. As a matter of fact, you would tell me what it is, or and simultaneously announce to yourself what it is. But what I can do for you right now as I speak, on stages, I'll ask you 3 questions and it'll kind of get you to rolling towards your life purpose. And the first question is, who are you? The second question is, why are you here? And the third question is, what value do you bring to this world and into your life? And those 3 questions will start getting you to think. And then, so if we ever get together and have a session for your life purpose, you already started the ball rolling going in that direction. But those 3 questions, who are you, why are you here, and what value do you bring to this world and into your life? You will start thinking, you go innately and start thinking, and you'll block out the external noise of what people and society and the media are telling you who to be, your friends, your family, everybody. When you ask those 3 questions, you start going within and saying, okay, this is why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love those questions. I know years ago, I went to an event of Mary Morrissey's, and she had us do something sort of similar. She definitely didn't ask the last question, but we paired up and we would go, who are you? And then if I was asking you, I would write down your answers. And we had 2 minutes of me just asking, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And, whenever you're sitting there and you're thinking, you come up with I'm Cindy, I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, I'm a social worker. I was a social worker at that time. But whenever you keep drilling, even asking yourself, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And you start writing it down, that's whenever you start to allow your heart to answer for you.
Perfect. I should hire you as my salesperson. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and so even the what value do I bring? I would imagine a lot of people have a hard time with that. So what tips can you give them to start even deciding what value is and how they are adding value to the world?
So that goes back to the question you just asked me a few minutes ago. If you don't love yourself or have some level of self-love, and I'm going to use myself as an example. So when I turned 40 and I started doing the self-love thing, I probably loved myself like around 20%, 30% at best out of 100. And if I were to ask myself that question back then, I would have thought, I'm a provider. I take care of my family. I've got a job. I take care of my responsibilities. I do this, I do that. That would have been coming from the egoic part of only loving myself 20 or 30%. Ask me now, and I'm not gonna lie to you and say I love myself 100%, but I'm getting pretty darn close. Every year I get closer and closer to 100%. But because I know who I am and how much I love myself, I know I have the ability or the value to bring to this world of changing the collective consciousness. Or when I have clients, one-on-one say, I know for a fact that their life is going to be transformed when they're done with me. That's the value that I bring. Radically different than 22 years ago. 22 years ago, I was just satisfied. I was content with what I was doing. It was enough. Now I realize, even today, I realize that tomorrow I'm going to evolve even more so because I evolve every day, and I'm going to bring even more value because I'll have a deeper love for myself.
Exactly. Collective consciousness is very interesting, even that you mentioned that, because, we all hear it, and, we're always learning and growing. But I can tell you that after experiencing being at the epicenter of the two major earthquakes, the 6.4 and 7.1 over the 4th of July, a lot of people, and I was really in a lot of our community groups posting, trying to help people because everybody was terrified. And it was like you could just drive through this town and there's just this heavy burden of fear and lack and despair. It was really interesting just being there. And, so I was doing meditative processes, trying to send love to the community and to let divine love take over this fear. But I've also noticed it going into other cities in California, Los Angeles, San Francisco. So many people are picking up the fear that, oh my God, we can have a 7.1 here. What would I do? And this is how the collective consciousness grows, whether it be something like fear, which none of us want, or something like love. And what's your life purpose? I mean, I know my purpose is to help other people. So I was trying to help people reduce their anxiety and come to a place of peace in midst of this tragedy that we just had. This, it was a very traumatic event. And I think, it was traumatic for me. And I'm just like thinking, how is it traumatic for someone who doesn't have the spiritual level that I have?
So, and I want to congratulate you. Thank you for sharing. I would like to congratulate you. What most of humanity doesn't understand from an individual basis is that they don't realize how influential they are. Every person on this planet has the power of influence. Now, the thing is, most of humanity does it unconsciously. They just react to scenarios and their external circumstances, and therefore they influence that. And you just brought up fear. So this fear, unconscious fear, just permeates the society and the collective consciousness. But by you being conscious enough and saying, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to spread love and I'm going to spread peace, you're a powerful influencer, because you are consciously saying, I know I can influence what's going on around me. I know I can create a ripple effect that's going on around me. Therefore, I'm going to meditate and emanate love and peace. And that makes you a conscious, powerful influencer. And I applaud you for that, because most of humanity doesn't understand that. And everyone, I want your audience to understand this, everyone has the ability to influence. You influence on every moment, from moment to moment, you influence what goes around you. But see, if you don't understand that, then you're just going to live on automatic, or you're just going to react. Even in a business situation comes up to you, and let's say it's not part of your liking, but you get to have the power of influence to say, okay, I might not like what's coming towards me or what's being presented to me, but I have enough power. I have the influence to change the outcome. I have the influence to change the end result. I have the influence to redirect it. I have the influence to rewrite the story.
Right. I completely agree with you. And it goes back to your third question, what value do I have to add? Because people have so much more value than what they think you do. Like you said, to you would have, years ago, you would have just been a father, a provider and stuff. But whenever you really realize, even if you just impact one person, you don't know how they're going to impact other people. And so when you start thinking even consciously, like every day, do one kind deed for somebody or say something nice out of the blue, call up somebody and thank them or tell them you're beautiful, then you start adding to the collective consciousness because they feel good and it starts to spread.
You're right, because you're creating a ripple effect. You're the focus point of that ripple effect. By you expressing something from intelligence or emotionally or mentally or physically or taking some inspired action, and that you're the ignition at that point. And everything ripples out from that point on. It just keeps rippling out, rippling out, rippling out. What are you doing? You're influencing the collective consciousness.
Mm-hmm. And so, there's a lot of people out there. They're stressed, they're anxious, they're overwhelmed. They're struggling to pay their mortgage. They're being kicked out of their house, or they're in an abusive relationship, be it with their spouse or another member of their family. So, what are some things these people can start doing to find their value, but more importantly, to start changing their own conscious to bring about a positive change?
Well, okay, so I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of the program. Go to a mirror, look inside your left pupil, and tell yourself, I love you unconditionally. Start changing the paradigm that you're living in. Start changing how you feel about yourself. Start changing the self-worth. Start changing what you deserve. Start changing who you believe to be. Start changing. That will begin the process. Start changing. Go to a mirror, look inside your left pupil, and tell yourself, I love you unconditionally. That's the beginning of change. That will cause a shift. That is the foundation. And then once you start doing that, guess what starts happening? You start opening your mind and your heart to different possibilities. All of a sudden, you're raising your vibration to the self-love, and resources start coming towards you. And again, as I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, and you're aware of this, those 3 life-changing events that I went through, I by no means going to lie to you and say it was easy. Was it easy? Heck no. It was tough to go through. But I'll tell you what, because I love myself enough and because I knew the reason why I was here, I wasn't done. And by the way, I don't know if I told you, but last year in February, I was told I was completely healed. And then a few weeks ago, they did an MRI just for being missionary, and they told me that there's nothing there. Here's the thing, because of self-love and the reason why I'm here, my life purpose, I knew I was not done. I have something else to finish. I have something to complete. So it drove me. And because of that, resources came to me. Like yourself. Other people started coming, supporting me and sharing me their philosophies and their gifts and their talents and everything else. And they were supporting me because I had that self-love and because I had that life purpose. I knew why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And I know I met you, I think, at the beginning of all of this.
Correct.
And so it was very interesting. And I always believe that the right people come into your life at the right time for whatever. And you had mentioned you could have just, crawled in a corner and sucked your thumb and said, why me, why me, why me? And all this is doing is pushing you away from your self-love. It would be pushing you away from the gifts and the value that you have to add. And that's why, beginning with that self-love, I think is so important, but it's knowing that whatever you're going through, you can turn it into the good. Regardless of what you're going through, you can turn it into good. And sometimes you have to think long and hard, and sometimes it just has to come from divine guidance, but just believe that something good will come out of everything.
And I agree. So let's take it a step further. And as I mentioned earlier, we all have a power of influence. So if you're going through a scenario, whether it's business or personal or emotional or mental or physical or spiritual or financial, whatever, if you're going through a scenario and it's not to your cup of tea, not only do you have the power of influence for the collective consciousness and for this world and all life, you also have the power of influence into your own life. So if you're going to get down and out and things are not going well in your business and you're going to start getting depressed and sad and why me and all that, well, what are you influencing? You're influencing more of that into your life. Well, hello, if you decide, you know what, I don't like what's happening, and I don't know how I'm going to get out of it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to start influencing my life so that I can better myself and evolve from wherever I'm at right now. Mm-hmm. So you have the power of influence on yourself also. Some people call it choices. Some people call it decisions. Some people call it, I'm not into affirmations, but I'd rather call them confirmations. Figure something out that will influence your life to evolve from wherever you're at right now.
So, Al, I know that you have a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to build their business. So can you share what that is?
Sure. And this goes back to what I said earlier in the program. If you already have a business, I'm not talking to people that are looking to start a business. That kind of too. But I'm really focused on people that already have a business. And let's say you're stuck for whatever reason, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically, or financially, you're just stuck. Then you need to sit down and ask yourself, who are you? Because you need to understand who you are in order to promote your business. Because if you don't understand who you are, then your business is going to falter, because people are going to look at you without you even saying a word. Whether you're posting on Facebook or your website, it comes across a certain way. It's good. Everything's going to be is a representation of who you are. And if you don't understand who you are, then how in the heck is the rest of the world going to understand who you are? So the first thing is you need to understand, who are you? And then the second thing is, why are you here? What is the reason behind your business? What's the why, the what, or the purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? And there's a lot of gurus out there saying, do what you love, because when you do love, it's not work. And that's all fine and dandy. But if you don't understand who you are and why you're here, and why you're doing what you're doing, then it's just going to go, you're going to go into a hamster wheel, and you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And then finally, the last thing, in your business, what value does your business bring to this world? What value do you bring to this world? Because it's going to accentuate through your business. So when you understand these three things, it's going to amplify through your business. It's going to accentuate who you are through your business. But you have to be clear. You have to have a full understanding.
And Al, I know that you have a great gift for our listeners. Can you share what that is?
Sure. If you're stuck, if you're in a hurdle, if you're trying to get over a hurdle or a difficulty or an obstacle, a problem, a challenging situation or whatever, get a hold of me. And I have no website, because everything I do is word of mouth, but I do have a lot of social media platforms. You can get a hold of me on Facebook, and I'm offering you 15 minutes of a discovery session. Let's tackle one of your situations. Let's overcome one of your problems or your challenges. In 15 minutes, I can do it. I've done it for thousands of people around the world, and I can do that in 15 minutes for you. Mm-hmm. At the very least, I can provide a tool for you.
Yes, and I can vouch for Al. He helped me through a really stressful time of my life in less than 15 minutes. So definitely you want to take Al up on his offer, and you can head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Al, and I'll have a link to his Facebook page there, and you can just send him a message and say, hey, I want to take you up on your 15-minute discussion, your 15-minute discovery session to help me get unstuck. So, Al, also, I know that you run a retreat. So do you want to share a little bit about the retreat?
Yes. So two things. One is I started the beginning of last year. I started having retreats in my home and also outside of my home, and we have anywhere from 2 to 6 people. And it's anywhere from 2 days, 3 nights to up to 5 days, 6 nights. Or is it 6 days, 5 nights? I'm sorry. And it all depends what you want in life. The bottom line is, if you really want to shift your life, you really want to change your life, it's time to evolve, then come and see us. And my beloved Samantha and I, we do this together. She comes from a different angle than from what I do, but together we're a very powerful couple. And we serve people to evolve and move forward. Here's something that I realized in my first 40 years of my life is I thought I'd do it all by myself. I thought I was on my own. I thought I had to figure it all out, But then as I became more awakened, I realized having a coach or a mentor, or going to conferences and workshops and reading books and all that all helped. And it's actually vital. But here's the secret I'm going to tell you and your audience. We already have the answers. We already have the wisdom. We were born with the wisdom. So the best anyone and anything, and I tell this to all my audiences, the best anyone or anything could do for you is to guide you to remember the answers you already have, because they don't have the answers. You have them. but it's a spoken word, or it's a phrase, or something you read in a book, or something that somebody says that sparks that aha moment when the light bulb goes off and you go, whoa, I get it. That's because you already have the answer. It's just somebody says something. And that's what I do on these retreats, is that I guide people, to remember their answers that they already have.
And it's on the beaches in the beautiful Baja California. So beautiful place.
Correct.
Enjoy the beaches and the sunsets and the water. A great place to have a retreat and really to discover who you are and what value you have. I love it. And Al, do you have any parting words?
Don't ever give up. Don't ever, ever give up. And if anything, surrender. Surrender to your higher power. Surrender to what you believe to be true. To surrender to your value. Surrender to your gift. Surrender to your presence. Surrender that you are somebody. Surrender to the fact that you were put here on earth for a reason. Surrender to all that. Don't ever give up.
I love it. Thank you very much, Al. It's been a pleasure speaking with you today. And to our listeners, you want to head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Al, lowercase al, bizsuccessin15.com/Al, and you'll be able to re-listen to Al's words of wisdom. He really shared a lot of information with you today that can just really propel your life and your business forward. And you can download the episode. You can also catch up on any past episodes you might have missed. I will have links to anything mentioned on today's show on the page. So head on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Al and be sure to share it with your friends. I hope you have a great week and see you next week. Bye-bye. Big hugs.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.